And this is where many fresh candidates do make a lot of mistakes, and people who move from IT and business areas to data science, they make a lot of mistakes while preparing CVs, and I have this experience of seeing this. So I thought I would share my experience of how you should prepare CV. So always have keywords, and this is important in any role, any role that you are applying for. Most importantly, for any technical role, data science is more of a technical role, so you should have a lot of keywords on your resume. So you should write about all the algorithms that you know, all the models, the coding languages that you know, and highlight your these keywords. So that's important. Projects. It's always important to have a real world problems. If you know, I know logistic regression, I know decision tree, I know the 20 algorithms. People may not be very interested, because understanding these 20 algorithms and being a master of these 20 algorithms is no mean task. It takes years to be a master of 20 algorithms. But if you have really good project experience, you have built 2 projects using at least 3 of these, or 2 to 3 algorithms, they will be more interested in knowing how you build these 2 products. So project experience is is highly valued in the interviews. So always write more about your project experience than writing more about your theoretical knowledge. So real world projects experience should be at the top of your resume, because your interview will start like this. So the interview will ask you, okay, so tell me what the project you built, and 90% of the times you will be asked about a project, and you will be explaining the project. Take a lot of time, 10-15 minutes to explain every steps of the projects that you build, and what the challenges that you faced and how you overcome the challenges. So talk about it in detail. That is going to matter a lot. If you have publications, patents, and open source contributions, always good to highlight. And it matters a lot in data science, because this is more of a research job. So if you have publication experience, patent, you have patent on to your name, you have open source contributions, always good, because these are highly creative work that people will recognize a lot. Certifications matters in all jobs. It matters here as well. If you have course completion certificates from MOOC, or you have written in a blog, or you have done any professional certifications, if you have done certified analytical professional CAP course from the Operation Research Society of United States, and there are many data science certification, I'm sure nowadays. You should highlight them. You have domain certifications. If you are working in finance, you have done CFA, you have done risk certification like FRM, you should also highlight on your resume. That matters a lot. If you have experience in academic research, you have presented papers in seminars, you have you have owned a machine learning challenge, you have performed well on Kaggle or any of these platforms where there are machine learning competitions, you have performed well on top coder, coding competition, you have won coding competition. Always good to highlight, because these things will matter a lot. Some of the best practices that you should follow. So always brush up your fundamentals, because if you're not very well versed with a highly complicated algorithm, that's fine. You can say, I don't know much, I'm willing to learn. But if you're not okay with the fundamentals like probability, like basic statistics, then people will have a question mark. You may be really good at the complicated stuff, but if your fundamentals are not good, people have a question mark on your ability. Right? In that case, you are more like somebody who, that's the difference between an mechanic and an engineer, right? An engineer understands the theory behind the mechanical aspect of work, where a mechanic doesn't understand the theory, right? So one should be really good with the fundamentals. So be good with whatever you know. Okay, so whatever you know, you should be really good at. So what matters is depth than the breadth. Whatever little you know, you should know it well. Be thorough with whatever you write on the resume. Most of the questions are going to be from your resume. So always prepare or invest more time on what you have written on your resume, because when people will ask you from you what you have written on the resume. So every keyword that you have written on your resume, you should be really comfortable with that. right? If the questions is out of your resume, then you can do list about it, right? If you are not able to you're not able to answer the questions which is totally out of your resume, then that's fine. That will not be a very negative thing. But you have written something on resume and not being able to answer this, it's not a good thing. Make notes whenever you have preparing. Always make notes. You are doing any course, have notes so that you can revise quickly before the interview, and you can also keep notes with you when you are having telephonic interview, so that you can always refer to the formula and the theory very quickly. Study the frequently asked questions. There are many blogs that I have and sources I've given in the last slide, and there are other sources also on the web. You can always go through these questions. And here in our channel, if you go down in the description, we have a section where you have talked about over hundreds of questions on data science. So please check that. Check these videos. There are 10 or 15 videos on one of our playlists. So check that playlist. We have discussed about many frequently asked questions on data science. Talk more about your project experience that I've already talked the previous point. Show your willingness to learn new things like coding, research papers, and tools. This is a new area and it's evolving, so it's changing now and then. So more than what you already know, people will also be interested in knowing that whether you can learn things very quickly. So always show your interest in learning these things. Mentorship is very important while preparing for interviews. Many times you should know what is to be studied and what is not to be studied. These are two important things, right? And you have very short time, right? And if you are already working very less time, right? If you are already a working professional, you have very less time to prepare for the interview. So get in touch with people who are already working in this field. So they will give you some sort of good guidance how to as to how you can prepare well in short time. Connect to LinkedIn. That's a very good source. There are other sources as well, like the Facebook groups where people discuss different data science problems. So always good to connect through groups. Twitter is one good thing. Follow people who are already working in this field. They will guide you. If you can get one mock interview done by an industry professional, that is always good. If you haven't faced data science interview ever, always good to go with some mock interviews, and that will help you a lot. Many times you will be asked to write code live, so good to have some live programming test. So you can ask your friend who will just ask you question and you would be writing code, because when you do live things, right, you'll be nervous and you may not give your best performance. Always good to have some practice before going for the actual interview. There are some myths associated with data science interviews and career in data science. I like to briefly discuss. So some people say data science is only for engineers and math science graduates. That's not true. In fact, in India, people say data science is only for computer science engineer or CS graduates or someone with MSc in statistics. That's not true, because whether you study physics or mathematics or any branch of science, you always use data analysis, right? You always use data analysis. So if you're doing experiments, you come up with data, you analyze data, right? So data analysis is part and parcel of all academic areas, not just science or engineering, even in social science, right? If you're a student of geography, economics, sociology, you still deal with data, right? And economics and geography in particular, they're heavily data analysis that's there, right? So you can build a career in data science if you are from a social science background also. It's not an issue. Some say that PhD is a must. That is wrong. You need not be a PhD. In fact, I would rather say that a PhD research is somewhat irrelevant in data science, because PhD is more theoretical research where it takes years to write a research paper, whereas in real world you will be given 2 to 3 months to build a model from scratch and implement it. So the approach will be very different. So you need not have a PhD. Good to have a PhD, but it's not mandatory to have. Some people say it's an overhyped career option which is going to vanish in a few years. It's not going to happen because data is growing. You cannot take a decision. No business can take a decision manually. So manual decision is getting automated. Thirdly, a lot of the tasks have been automated, right? Whether it's self-driving car or even a lot of the IT stuff, right? The support, IT support, and so on. These things are being automated nowadays. So how do you automate? Using machine learning, right? So this career is definitely not overhyped, and whatever little overhype was there has now become normal. So now it's more like any other professions, but highly demanding. There's more demand and less number of skilled candidates in this field. So that's going to be there for a while, I'm sure. It's not for MBA. Some say that it's not for MBA and business folks. That's not true. Many MBAs have successfully moved into data science, analytics jobs. In fact, they're doing really well. And people who are already in business and frontline business, and they understand analytics, they know how to use analytics to enhance their sales, marketing, and advertising. Whatever work they're doing, then they're considered to be smarter. There is a lecture by Susan Athe, a Stanford professor, who is a professor in Stanford Graduate Business School, where she's asking the MBAs to study analytics, statistics, econometrics, because she feels that these skills are going to be highly desired in MBA candidates in future. And that's what already happening. Some people say mid-career switch is impossible. That's not true, because this is a new field and there is huge demand and less talent pool. So you can always fill in from other areas. And it did not be a pro from day one, but if you have experience in different other fields, if you're an IT expert, you are a really good developer, you are already a business guy, a project manager, or a product manager, your skills will be invaluable in data science projects. So it's 100% not true. Okay, to conclude, I have a few things to say. So data science is very broad, actually. It is very difficult area in some sense, because it involves a lot of academic areas: statistics, applied mathematics, computer science, data science, computer science, econometrics, operation research, psychometry, artificial intelligence, data mining, you name, industrial engineering, and so on, and quantitative finance sometimes, right? So there are like so many fields which are contributing to data science, right? So it's very difficult to master all these areas, right? Even mastering one area of statistics takes lifetime, right? So you need not be so what happens is that many people when they look at this area and see the breadth of this area, they actually get nervous. So there's no reason to be feel very nervous. You wouldn't be a master of all these areas, right? So always build on your strength, and do not feel bad about the fact that you do not know some other areas, right? If you are very comfortable with let's say 3 types of regression, and you are really good coder, right? There's no reason why you should feel bad about the fact that you do not know some other type of regression, like what is quantile regression or what is integer programming and so on. No, you need not, right? Because you can always do a lot of work just by having these 2 skills, right? And you have plenty of time to build on your skills. So not an area, not a problem. It's always good to specialize in one area. As a fresher, it is not important, but as we go on, as we have more experience, it's always good to specialize in one area and then become a super specialized guy in one area. That's one good thing. The field is old, but but there have never before we have seen this rapid expansion or so much of demand. Primarily is because of internet data that was not available to us even 15 years ago. So much of data is available now with smartphones and other things in place. So the expansion that is happening in this area is more than probably any other expansions. Like we have seen rapid expansion of IT skills in 90s, right? Late 80s and 90s. That's exactly what is happening. It's one of the finest times for statisticians, computer scientists, and people who are keen on using data algorithms in solving business problems. So it's one of the finest time. And the good thing is that there are not many veterans in this field, because it's a very new field. Uh, there is no veterans. You should not feel intimidated to people who have, let's say, 20, 25 years experience. There are not many people out there in the industry with such, in-depth experience. So it's a good time. So the future is always going to be on data and algorithms, whether any field you take. There is no field which will not be affected by analytics in future. So predictive models are going to be used everywhere, whether it's healthcare for disease prediction, whether it's financial service, which has always been using analytics for decades now, insurance, e-commerce, take any field, this is going to be used. So it's an excellent career option. That's one thing I can summarize. Thank you so much, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. And for any guidance, you can always write to us. And also you can please visit our website. You will get plenty of stuff. You will get frequently asked questions, and you can also go through some of our study packs. Thank you so much.